And we are live with the beautiful Sara Mielke Harbert, who I am thrilled to share with you guys. Sara is a yoga coach. Sara, would you call it yoga and health coach? Is that
your health coach and yoga teacher?
Yoga health coach and yoga teacher, and also somebody that I've known for, I think, since about 2014. Sara, yeah, it's like must be 5 years now. Yeah, we connected, and I did some work with Sara, and it's just been awesome to witness your evolution and what you're doing now. So let me just share with everybody your official bio. Sara has a multidisciplinary athletic background in dance, snow skiing, water sports, strength and endurance training. Yoga has been the grounding and healing cornerstone in Sara's life, both physically and mentally. Discovering yoga in her 20s, she is passionate about helping yogis on their path to physical and spiritual well-being. With a background in choreography, she leads a dynamic Vinyasa flow class while encouraging a safe and healing environment, offering modifications and guiding yogis of all abilities. She strives to find balance between strength, flexibility, and mindfulness in every asana practice. Awesome. So welcome, Sara. I'm thrilled that you're here to talk about yoga. So you discovered yoga in your 20s. How did you come across yoga?
I think it was when I was dancing. I've been dancing since I was 5. I had kind of heard of it later on, and in that kind of field. And I thought, oh, that sounds kind of like a really slow moving dance of some sort. Like maybe I'll get into that at some point. And so, yeah, at the end of university, I started dabbling in it. And then when I moved to New York outside of university and started in the working world, I dabbled in it for a little while. And then I really got into it in my mid-20s when I moved to London. And it just kept growing and growing.
Just evolved. Do you remember your very first yoga class? I remember mine. It was my mid-20s. Do you remember your first class?
Oh, that's a tough one. I actually don't remember my very first yoga class. I feel like I should, because I think it's because that probably wasn't the most profound one. I remember my most profound early on one. And it was actually in Parsons Green in London at Power Yoga Studio, which one of the teachers there does not really teach power yoga. It's more Vinyasa. And I just remember it really affecting me. And then I think that class planted the seed of, okay, this is definitely something I really love. Like, this woman has helped transform me, and I'd love to do this at some point in my life.
Right. What was it that you felt, that you remember?
Well, it was specifically in Shavasana, I think. And I got this, it was this something that she said. It was like,
Shavasana, for people that don't know what yoga is. Sorry, let's what is Shavasana?
Shavasana is corpse pose. It's not the best name for that pose, but it's
just lying.
Yes, you lie down on your back or on your side, and it's at the end of the practice, and it's like a time to kind of soak the practice in and really, really connect with how you're feeling after the practice. It's a really powerful class. It's a really powerful space. I think a lot of people think it's like, oh, it's just time to lay down and relax. But for me, it's not really that. It's a lot more than that. And so she said, her name's Mona. She said, it's okay, however you're feeling today. And I think at that day, I just remember during my practice being really self-critical about myself. Like, oh, I can't quite get there. I can't quite, be in this pose, or I can't quite hold this, or whatever it was. And I think that's from decades of being in dance, where you're just looking at yourself in the mirror and constantly critiquing yourself and trying to make yourself look better.
Right.
And she's like, it's okay to come exactly how you are. And that's what yoga is all about. You don't have to be flexible. You don't have to be anything. You just have to be you, and you have to just be you and show up.
Absolutely.
And for me, it was like, in that moment, I just felt the years and years of the weight that dance had put on me, or that I'd self-inflicted on myself. It just like released, and it was just such a powerful, powerful moment for me.
Right. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah. I love that about yoga. And I notice, yeah, our ego can really play a big role in it. And, comparison and looking around the yoga studio. Oh, they can go further. They're more flexible. I'm not good enough. Right. And it's a lot of that at play. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did it evolve then, Sarah, from when it was, I guess, well, a hobby or a practice that you did
That
maybe once a
was,
week?
I think at that point, my practice became a little more regular. So I would, integrate 1 or 2 classes a week at least into kind of my other training. And then, it must have been years. It must have been 5 to 8 years before then I met you. And this was after my career. Well, this was my last year of my career in fashion branding,
Right.
when you kind of helped me find out what I was really passionate. And I think you kind of unearthed that decision that I made, or that idea, I suppose, that I made a long time ago, that I would love to be doing this. So
Yes.
in the same year, I left branding and fashion and went into health coaching and yoga teacher training at the same time. So it was amazing.
Right. Yes. And health coaching as well. That's a very important part of your life too. And do you integrate them both? I mean, is there a yogic way of eating that?
That's a really interesting question. I would say the mindfulness aspect of yoga. And so just being really present. Absolutely. I always try to be present. It's a lot more difficult now that I have a 2-year-old. But I try to be present when
Great
I'm
teachers.
eating. But I would say other than that, and other than just suggesting my health clients, my health coaching clients, to begin their practice or start their practice in yoga. And I might offer, I think I've given a couple one-to-ones at the very beginning to my health coaching clients. But other than that, there's not a huge amount of crossover for me, like professionally, but I guess in my head, they're
Right.
it's all part of the bigger well-being picture.
Yeah, for sure. I can just share for me personally, I've been practicing yoga for, probably about 25 years on and off, and have gone through phases with it. But really interestingly, I've just been recently drawn to it, and I did a class on Saturday and Sunday. And every time I go back to it, I say, oh my God, I need yoga in my life. Just, that Shavasana at the end, when you're marinating all the different postures, and it feels so good, and it's so connected with ourselves, right? That's the thing.
Amazing.
But yeah. What do you think has been the biggest gift that yoga has brought for you in your life?
It's hard to say whether it's the practice itself for me or the privilege of teaching others. I think that they're completely equal, and I couldn't live one without the other. And I feel incredibly blessed. I think I know a lot of teachers who they make it their careers, which is amazing, but that's a really tough road, because then you have to try to carve out additionally some more time for yourself. So I feel like I'm so happy that I'm able to have this balance of, I have the freedom to have I'm a huge student. I go to at least 3 classes a week with some of my favorite teachers around London, and then do my own self-practice at home. And then I'm also able to teach. In fact, I'd like to be teaching more. So,
Right. Tell me about the teaching. What is it? What particular yoga niche? Well, can you explain a little bit first about yoga for people who are not so familiar with? There's so many different types. There's a different word than types?
Absolutely.
Yoga. Is it
absolutely. Types? Yeah, different practices for sure. So how do you begin to explain yoga? For anyone who hasn't ever been to a class, there are so many different types of yoga. There's everything from completely restorative yoga, which you literally go to a class and you get into maybe 5 poses maximum. And these poses are completely relaxing. So you have bolsters, you have blankets, you have props. And it's really a time to just nourish. I won't say it's like a massage, but it's like a detox for your brain for sure.
Is that yin yoga, Sarah, where you hold poses
it's a little
for a
bit
long
different.
time?
So
Okay.
yin yoga is like, no, it's okay. I love these questions. It's good. Everyone has them. So yin yoga is probably what I would say is like the next step, but it's a little more focused on changing your fascia. Whereas restorative yoga is not interested in flexibility, not interested in anything, but just completely decompressing. It's a wonderful, if you have insomnia, it's a wonderful practice to do right before bed. It's not something
yoga
I recommend
nidra
to
I
do
love as
morning.
well.
Yeah, yoga nidra isn't a type of yoga, but it is a practice within
guided meditation.
That makes sense. Which I do almost every night on myself, or listen to yoga nidra. But back to the types of yoga. Yin yoga is really about helping your mobility and your flexibility. And so the fascia, which are kind of the areas that cover your muscles and your bones, trying to kind of move those and stretch those. So you in that class, you'll be in different poses for 3 to 5 minutes to really try to change the way that the fascia is kind of restricting your movement. Right. So that's yin yoga. And then there's Hatha Yoga, which is
that's the most common one, I think.
It's common, and it's one of the older ones, and it's really more about that's where I recommend a lot of people to start, because they really explain a lot around the poses. There's not really a fluidity of the class. It's kind of like, okay, we're going to go into this pose now. This is how we get into that pose. And there's a lot of like talk around that. So it can be really instructive for people who are beginning. And then there's Vinyasa, which is what I really enjoy teaching. And it's more fluid. So there's, from my dancing background, of course, I just love the choreography. I call it kind of choreography, but no one else does. But I just love leading a really dynamic class. And I love thinking about, okay, you know, we've stretched out here and we've strengthened here. Where can we, you know, move next? And it's like a big puzzle to me. So I love teaching Vinyasa flow. And then, I mean, there's a lot more. You can find rocket yoga, power yoga, hot yoga, all kinds. So that's the basics.
Yeah, actually, when people say to me that, I mean, even, you know, my mother always think, oh, do yoga. And she said, I tried it once, I didn't like it. And I said, just try a few more classes, because it really depends on, you know, there's so many different styles, isn't it? And teachers as well. You know, we resonate more with a certain teacher, right?
Yes. You absolutely nailed it. You absolutely nailed it with that. I mean, there's so many teachers out there. I mean, there's a huge market for yoga teacher training, because people they want to teach yoga. So there are tons of teachers out there. Some have been doing it forever, and they have there's so many options out there. So, and I would say, in all honesty, if you're really looking for one that just moves you and changes you, you're going to have to go to maybe 15 to 20 classes before you find that person.
Wow, that's a good advice. Yeah. And why not?
So don't give up, and talk to people, you know, speak to your friends who are going to class, and say, oh, you know, what do you like about the yoga class? And see if, you know, you can try to find what it is that you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. And then I think each teacher brings something different. So it's nice, you know, if we do a few classes a week to do it with different teachers. Yeah. What I want to know about, actually, Sara, is because when I was pregnant with Mia, who's now 13, so 14 years ago, I actually started a teacher training with Sanjeev Banat, an amazing Indian yoga teacher. Yes, I did. It was, what happened though, it was over 4 weeks, 4 separate weeks intensive. And I did the first week, and became very fertile and got pregnant very fast. And so then I didn't continue it, interestingly. And that's okay with me, because I love to be a student of yoga. But I do remember at the time it was very daunting we had to practice leading the class. And what was that like for you when you started out? Was it daunting, or did you feel immediately?
I think, yes, I think it was daunting for everyone that I was doing the teacher training with. I probably did my teacher training with like 20 other students, and it was an amazing experience, similar to yours, 4 or 5 weeks, and did it in London. And my teacher was incredible. I couldn't recommend her enough, Holly Warren, and she now teaches for Good Vibes, I think. So at the time I did Yoga London. So yes, it was daunting. However, I think if you have any background in dance, and probably other yogis are going to cringe or maybe disagree with me, but I can't help it. So if you have a background in dance, teaching yoga is going to be way easier, because even though I only had my 200-hour teacher training, which is like the basic level, I see things in people because I'm used to staring at myself and other dancers, and analyzing movement. So I have a very strong background in movement analysis. So when I'm teaching a class, I'm able to just talk and teach the way that I was teaching choreography and move around and help adjust people to get in the right state. So it's, I think a lot of people think that teaching yoga can be really easy. It's definitely not. And it's definitely a gift.
I don't think so.
It's a gift for me. It's a gift. And I think if you want to develop it and you don't have the gift, it's a lot of hard work.
Right. Well, there's always more learning to do, isn't there? I guess like with coaching as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's just one of those things. And the more you teach, the better you get at it. So
right. Yeah, you learn when you're teaching too. So what you did say before we went live is that you're most passionate about teaching people one-to-one right now, Sara?
Yeah, so actually my real passion and niche, and I've kind of fallen into this, is teaching at retreats. I really love teaching transformational yoga. And I think I love it so much because you get to develop a relationship with the clients and the guests of the retreat throughout the week. And you get to witness and facilitate this huge physical and mental transformation for people. So I just got back from Portugal last week. It was on a beautiful wellness retreat. It was a juicing detox. And I taught Vinyasa in the morning and restorative in the evening to 11 guests with a huge variety of skill level. And some people who, weren't able to be in down dog, and some people who had a regular practice. So I also find that incredibly challenging and in a really fun and stimulating way. So I love the challenge of kind of bringing people to the mat in that space and challenging different people and offering different modifications so that everyone's really comfortable. Because what happens on a lot of these retreats is a lot of people are coming to wellness retreats for the first time, and they've never done anything for themselves. They, have been in the working world. Yeah, they've been in the working world and the grind for a long time. And so this is the first time they're tuning in to themselves. Yes. And it is such a joy to watch them like come alive, and like really start listening to their bodies and, quieting the self-criticism and just kind of like rejoicing in themselves. So it's just this amazing thing to witness. And yeah, I was saying when people arrive, a lot of people are scared, are really scared. I've never done yoga before. Maybe I'll embarrass myself. So I love working with people who have never done yoga before, and they come in, and by the end of the week, like my goal is that, maybe they don't love it, who knows, but they've tried it and they're willing to go and continue practicing mindfulness in some way. In fact, I don't actually know any of the guests that wouldn't have continued it on, but you never know. But certainly they've all enjoyed it on the retreat. So that's definitely what brings me the most joy. And I guess a niche, bringing new people to yoga. And I also, because of the anatomical side of me and the movement analysis, I also have taught yoga for pre and post skiing. So I've worked for seasons in the mountains. And I really enjoy doing that too, because I think that skiing and snowboarding can wreak havoc on your body. And so I think yoga is the perfect conditioning partner for that. And so I really, really enjoy that. So very
So you teach in, yeah, that's awesome. What a great niche. It's in Morzine, Sara, is it, that you teach when you're there? Yeah.
Yes. So I live full-time in London, kind of, but then a third of the year for all the winter. And then throughout the year, I'd say for a total about a third of the year, I'm in Morzine, France.
Yeah.
I teach there.
Oh, I'm going to have to drive up the mountain and have a class with you.
Please do. It would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. So what would you say, Sara, to finish up on, what would you say to anybody who's new to yoga? What advice would you give them if you could think of 3 tips for them to develop a yoga practice?
My tips would be, find a teacher you love.
Yep.
Keep trying different classes until you find one that you really love, types of yoga, and then make time for it. You know, like anything that we want to bring into our life.
Yep.
And
at home as well, right? On a daily basis. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the daily basis thing is a little bit of a trap. I think I actually disagree with that. Okay. I think, and maybe this is just my own personal
Good
thing.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that with a lot of things, people feel like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to dedicate every day to it. And all hand on heart, I do not practice every day. And I used to kind of feel guilty about that a little bit, like, oh, I'm not making time for this, but I make time for a lot of other things.
Right.
In my life too.
I remember, I was thinking back, when I was single and when I had time and I used to practice every day. I mean, I think because Sanjeev, our yoga teacher, the first question he would ask at the start of the class, did you practice every day? Up hands. Who didn't practice every day?
Exactly.
But it was amazing how much you'd progress from that, know. And I don't think I ever practiced every single day, but even that 5 minutes, it's amazing how you can progress. That was the fun thing about it.
It's one of those funny things, but I think because yoga to me is like the opposite of regimented. It's like, it's for me, it's like the release of all of my like need to control and need to be perfect. I'm totally okay with not practicing every day. Beautiful. So that's the other thing I tell people.
I think that's an important
my
point.
Own thing.
No, it's an important point, and I love what you said. Your first powerful experience, because that's it, and that's what I think people don't come back because they're attached to I'm not good enough. And when you can show up in the I am good enough, and I'm here for me, and not to compete with anyone else, and just let go of actually, it's funny, I have a small hernia. I'm kind of trying to meditate it away. It's as a result of a surgery, so I can't do plank at the moment, and so I'm just when everybody's doing a plank related exercise, I'm just zen. But I think an earlier version of me would have felt self-conscious with that, but it's my practice. And,
yes, well, after this call, I'd love to give you a modification for that.
Awesome.
But yes, I love that, and I'm so happy to hear that, because that's yoga is not about achieving the pose. It's just about moving the way that you show up on the mat, and that's it.
Right. And that's why, like you said, I mean, in your bio, that it's a mental practice as well. It's not just physical practice. It's,
absolutely.
So we can really evolve, which you have amazingly. Sara.
Thank you. Much to your help.
That was awesome times. I loved working with you, and still connecting with you, and still watching you. And I'm holding the vision that for one of my nature retreats I'm going to be running next year, that we'll have you as a special guest. That would be incredible.
I would love that. I would love that.
Okay, thank you so much for joining, Sara. If people want to get in touch with you, your website, do you want to, I can type it in the Facebook group, which is Rise Up and Love Your Life.
And yes, my website is sarahharbert.com. So
Harbert, S-A-R-A without the H. And then
no H, Harbert, HARBERT.com. And I live in London or in France. So if you're in either of those places, I'm very happy to help anyone new to yoga or someone who really wants to push their practice to the next level. However it is you're feeling with yoga. I love doing one-to-ones at home. So you're welcome to join me.
Thank you so much, Sara. And thanks everybody for tuning in and joining. And please share this, right? The more people that practice yoga, the happier we'll all be, I think. The more connected with ourselves, right? So
absolutely.
Really important.
Thank you for having me, Neve.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Sara. Lots of love.
You too.